And welcome everybody. In this video, we're going to talk about finding horizontal asymptotes, or those asymptotes that run from left to right. And it's important to note that in this video, the strategy that we're going to use only works when our numerator and our denominator, the degrees of them are the same, or the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. There's a little bit of different things that we have to think about if the numerator were greater than the denominator, but we're not going to get into that in this video. It's just important to note that this strategy just only works when the degrees of the numerator and the denominator are the same. So you can see the degrees of these polynomials, the numerator is to a degree of 1, and the degree of the denominator is also to 1, so this is going to work for this example. So what we need to do is we need to identify the leading coefficients of both the numerator and the denominator. Remember, coefficient is just that number that's in front of the variable. So when we identify the coefficient in the numerator, that is 3, right? That's the number with the x. And when we identify the coefficient in the denominator, that is -2. And in order to figure out the horizontal asymptote, what you're going to do is just take that leading coefficient of the numerator and divide it by the leading coefficient of the denominator, and that gives you your horizontal asymptote. So in this case, it would be -1.5, or if we want to leave it as a fraction, -3/2. And also, the equation for this is always going to be y equals. So the horizontal asymptote is going to be y equals -3/2. So if we graph this in Desmos, just to see this, how this works visually, we can go ahead and click into our box here. In order to get the fraction or the rational function here, we hit the division button, and we're just going to enter in our numerator, 3x, and you can just arrow down to the denominator. We're going to enter in -2x plus 8. And so you can see if we zoom out here, here is our rational function graphed. And then you can see our horizontal asymptote is going to be this line that runs right along here. And that is the value that y can never reach. So it doesn't matter how small x gets or how big x gets, we can never reach that value of -3/2, and that is going to be our horizontal asymptote. So if I were to enter it in here, I'm going to enter in y equals, so it creates the line for us. And I'm going to enter it as the fraction like we had, -3/2. And you can see it creates this line here, which is our horizontal asymptote. And so when we zoom in, you can see no matter how far to the right we go, if we zoom in, these two lines never touch, because this function can never get to the point of -3/2. And that is essentially what this asymptote is saying, is that it's the line that this graph approaches, but it can never really reach it. So even if we go all the way super far to the left, we could go over to -10 million and zoom in, and these two lines would never touch. So that is your horizontal asymptote.